Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Can the Prime Minister explain how his entire office found time to attend a marketing seminar run by ad man Russell Howcroft on a catastrophic fire day in December? Why did the Prime Minister organise a meeting with Russell from marketing but refused to meet with the 23 former fire chiefs who were pleading for the government to take this bushfire season seriously?
The members on my left, the Prime Minister has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Well, Mr Speaker, the meeting that you refer to was not a meeting that I attended. Mr Speaker, the meeting that you also said was requested and has been well publicised, Mr Speaker, related to former fire chiefs, as you know. I engage with current fire chiefs, Mr Speaker, and the current fire chiefs who had provided the advice, Mr Speaker, going into this fire season was the same fire advice that was provided by Emergency Management Australia when I asked Emergency Management Australia to come and brief Cabinet well before the fire season, Mr Speaker, last year to advise us what was necessary and to ensure that we were compliant and that we were taking action to ensure the Commonwealth's position was in the best position it could be to support state and territory authorities as they moved through this devastating fire season. That included the additional funding that we announced that I referred to earlier in response to the member for Gilmore's question, in providing the additional funding to support the aerial bombers. It assured, Mr Speaker, that in November, the government undertook a trial program for the compulsory call-out of reserves to ensure that in the event that we were to move to that situation, it could be done seamlessly. Now, Mr Speaker, this has been one of the most significant responses of the government to ensure that we went from a situation from around 895 Defence Force personnel that were on the ground in December to 6,500 and more that were on the ground in January. That changed because the government changed the disposition of the Commonwealth's deployment of Defence Forces on the ground, not to respond to requests, but to take this to the extreme of constitutionality, Mr Speaker, the extreme of constitutionality to respond, Mr Speaker, to the situation that emerged that week where on the Thursday, it was the first day that the natural state of disaster had been declared in Victoria. That hadn't occurred before. That happened on the Thursday. There was the compulsory call-out on the Saturday, and the preparations for that compulsory call-out were already underway when Victoria made that declaration. Mr Speaker, those opposite, in their questions today, are betraying a willingness to seek to politicise this disaster, and it's very disappointing.
The member for Moncrieff.